Hello, seniors. This is a quick mini lecture on Shakespeare to get you ready to read Macbeth. The objectives of this mini lecture is to build background knowledge and activate your prior knowledge to clarify the text, deepen your understanding, and make connections while reading Macbeth. So a little bit of background on Shakespeare. We know that he wrote 37 plays, and they're broken down into three basic categories: histories, tragedies, and comedies. Now, Macbeth is an interesting one because it is actually based on historical people and real events. However, this is categorized as a tragedy because Shakespeare took a lot of creative liberties with writing this play. A lot of it comes to the fact that he was kind of kissing up to King James I of England at that time. And we'll be talking about all the ways that he did that and rewrote history in this play as we read. Something else that you need to take into consideration while we read Macbeth is Aristotle. Aristotle wrote a lot of works on theater and drama. And so he is kind of seen as the go-to guy on what it means to write a tragedy. Aristotle believed that tragedies must provide catharsis, or a spiritual purge that is attained when the audience feels a pity or terror from what they've seen on stage. They don't want to have an outcome like the characters on stage. So this inspires them to live a better life. Additionally, Aristotle believed that the hero, and in most cases that is your protagonist, must be of a high social position, and they have to possess a tragic flaw, and this leads us to a tragic hero. And so most playwrights clear through the 20th century really only focused in on heroes who were of high social status. So kings and people of royal birth were the main focus of these tragedies. It wasn't until Arthur Miller wrote Death of a Salesman that we started looking at your everyday person could be a tragic hero as well. Additionally, all tragedies have to have a change of fortune that will involve a reversal or a discovery. So the main character's life is going to do a 180, or they're going to learn some information about themselves or others that are going to lead maybe to that reversal. Additionally, Aristotle believed that all of these tragedies were written in the highest form of poetry. They also contain a prologue that introduces the play, and those tragedies were written in 5 passages of dialogue known as episodons. We now call these acts. All of Shakespeare's plays were written in 5 acts to follow this structure. Additionally, Shakespeare writes his plays in iambic pentameter. It's that rhythm, and he does this because it comes the closest to the natural speaking rhythms of English. So a majority of his plays are written in blank verse. A speech or scene in blank verse may end with a rhyming couplet, known as a capping couplet, but for the most part there is no rhyming in Shakespeare's writing. However, when he does use rhyme, it's used for ritualistic or choral effect, or for highly lyrical passage that gives advice or points to a moral. There may be songs, prologues, epilogues, or choruses added into these writings. Shakespeare really likes to use rhyming when there's the manifestation of supernatural beings. This can include fairies, witches, anything along those lines. However, ghosts are not considered supernatural beings. They are going to retain their human-like qualities of speech, and they will speak in blank verse. Lastly, Shakespeare will use prose. It's going to look like regular writing. It's not going to look like poetry on the page. And he's going to use prose whenever it would seem bizarre to write in verse. And so he'll use prose when he's writing a serious letter. If there's a proclamation, if you guys read Julius Caesar, the proclamation in there upon Caesar's death is written in prose. Lower class characters also speak in prose to show that social divide. The upper class people will speak more formalistically, and there's going to be definite structure to what they say, whereas the lower class characters don't have that formal sound, they don't have that structure. And then lastly, when characters go mad, they go crazy, they will start speaking in prose, because verse is apparently too regular and orderly to express madness. Last little bit here. Shakespeare also uses a lot of common literary devices. Asides and soliloquies are huge in his writing, especially in Macbeth. These are both times when a character is speaking to themselves. But there's a key difference. Asides are usually much shorter than soliloquies, and they happen when other characters are on stage. A soliloquy, or what we more commonly call a monologue today, is when a character is on stage by themselves thinking out loud, and it's going to be a really long passage that they're going to deliver to the audience. Additionally, it does not matter if he is writing a comedy or a tragedy. Shakespeare likes to use humor, and he accomplishes that by using puns and homophones as plays on words to add some jokes in, even to some of the most serious things that he wrote. So that's just a quick down and dirty mini lecture on Shakespeare's writing styles. This is going to come into play. We're going to be bringing a lot of this up as we read Macbeth. So keep these little nuggets in the forefront of your mind. We'll be talking about them as we approach them in the reading.